Hey everybody, this is a continuation of the Photopea tutorials for New Canaan High School Theater programs. These should all be watched in line. We just did clipping masks and now we're going to be talking about how to edit graphics that you import into your project. So first I want to show you, and what I didn't show you in the last movie, is that if you wanted to save your project to work on later, it's great. You can actually do that with Photopea as opposed to, some other online applications. You just simply go to File, Save as PSD. That's like a Photoshop type file. And you're really not going to be able to edit that on your computer without the use of Photopea unless you have Photoshop or GIMP or some sort of editing software on your computer. But that's okay. You're just really going to be using this for your Photopea project. So I just pressed, you saw that, right? File, Save as PSD. Okay, and then it went to my downloads, which I'm on Chrome, so it drops down here. Just going to drop it right onto my desktop, and now it's Shannon Smith half ad, and because I did two, this one's called one. And .psd is the name of the file. And then if you wanted, let's go to open a new browser tab, go to Photopea. And you wanted to open that same project, you just go File, Open, navigate to where you saved that PSD, click Open, and you're going to have the exact same project open again. So now you can see I've got it open in two different browsers. This one's just zoomed in. That's it. I'm just going to X out of that because I don't need to have both of these open at the same time. But I did think that that was important for you guys to know. Also, let's say at this point you just wanted to, you didn't want to create your ad in Photopea. You wanted to use canva.com, for example, and you just really wanted this clipping mask of Shannon. Well, all you have to do to make that PNG would be to turn off your background layer, and then when it's checkered like this, this means it's transparent. And you could just Shift-Command-T to bring up your free transform tools, and then click File, Export As, choose PNG for transparency, save, and then now you've got your clipping mask that you could use if you wanted to use that in Canva. This gray background shows that this is transparent. So I just did want to just show you that before I moved on. Okay, but we are going to create an entire ad through this series of tutorials. So we're going to go back to Option-Command-T to shrink Shannon back down a little bit. I don't need her to be that big. And now I'm going to show you how to pull in some graphics. So we go File, Open in Place, navigate to wherever your graphics are. I downloaded these next two graphics from openclipart.com, which has free open source graphics. I'm going to start with this lifesaver. And I'm going to want this to be acting like a little frame over Shannon's face. So we could like pretend that this is maybe for Anything Goes or something. Although Anything Goes, they do have a larger ad size, so make sure that you check your ad sizes. But so there we go. Now, let's say this is great, but I want to get rid of this little rope because it's blocking Shannon's face. No problem. We're going to go grab our eraser tool, which we already showed you how to erase. But, oh, look what happens. I'm going to click that again so you can see. Smart object must be rasterized first. So, easily done. You're going to go over to your file that's got the lifesaver. Right now it's called help because that's what the file was named on my computer. You could name that anything you want. So you could double click, name that lifesaver, if that's easier to remember. And you're going to right click the flyout menu, and then you're going to go to rasterize, click rasterize, and now when you're in your eraser tool, it will work. So you can go in and erase. But I wanted to show you another little trick because sometimes you just want this to be like a perfectly round cutout. And in that case, you could use the ellipse select tool. So I'm going to click on that, put it in the center, just like how I showed you with the circle shapes when we did our clipping mask. You're going to click Shift Option, or Option Shift, doesn't matter. Drag out your circle. Not sure why that was zooming across, but it was. Drag it to where you want it to be. And then in this case, it's a little smaller than I wanted, so I'm going to Control Z or Control D to make that deselect, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit because that was kind of hard to see. I'm going to try this again. Options Shift, drag it out. That's probably about right. And then I'm going to just drag it into place. And now I've got a nice round selection, and I'm going to click delete. And then I'm going to press, so that now just deleted everything in a perfectly round circle. Everything inside of this selection was deleted. But now I want to get rid of that selection. So you can either go to select and press deselect, or the keyboard shortcut is Command D or Control D to get rid of that selection. So now we have our perfect little lifesaver. And I'm going to merge these two images so that they're just, I'm not going to be like in lifesaver, moving this around and oh, now I have to replace it, Control Z. Instead, I'm going to merge these two images just to keep them together. And I think I'm going to make this a little smaller, so Option Command T for your free transform tools. And that's a good size. Okay, now we're going to bring in the water. And just so you can see, we're going to be creating an ad that's going to look something like this. Okay? So, File, Open in Place. I'm going to bring in this wave graphic, which again, got from Open Clip Art. I'm going to Command minus to zoom out, grab my corner, press Shift to constrain the width-height ratio, make it a little smaller, and then Command 0 to zoom everything in. And I'm going to drag this wave underneath the lifesaver so that I can see what I'm doing. I like this. I really want it to be larger. And while I could just drag this out to be the full width of the page, and that's okay, but I personally just want more waves, and I don't want them to get too tall. I don't want a bunch of tall waves. I want smaller, more waves around the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink this down a bit, and I'm going to create a duplicate copy of this layer. So I'm over in the Layers panel, right click, duplicate layer. So now I have two tiled wave pattern graphics. I'm going to grab the top one, drag it over, line it up. I can also highlight, shift click to highlight both of these layers and then align them by their their vertical centers. See, center vertically. And now it kind of looks like one graphic. Well, may as well make it one graphic. We're going to merge them. Right click, they're both selected, merge layers, and now I just have one graphic that's wider. So there you go. Now, next step. I want to get rid of this yellow. And while, yes, I could just go in, click on this, and erase, I don't want to do that. So I'm going to Control Z because that would be a lot of fine detail work. And I have a shortcut. We're going to use our Magic Wand selection tool, which is over here. If you hover over this one, it looks like a paintbrush with a little dashed line. Beneath it is your Magic Wand. Magic Wand will select everything that's the same color. So right now, this shade is slightly greener than the one above it. I'm just going to press delete, and I just magically deleted all of that color. Now, we're going to get the lighter yellow here, press delete. Now we're going to let go of that selection, which again is either deselect up here or Command D. And suddenly the waves look more like waves. And this is cute. You could actually even just stop right here. You could just grab your, what is that? Ooh, Control D. Somehow I had a little selection there. Wanted to get rid of that. All I did was do Command D to get rid of that. Okay, get our Move tool, Command D. Oh, I know, because I was grabbing it with, when I was clicking on here, I was still in my Magic Wand and it was making selections. So that's what happened. So do make sure that you grab your Move tool first. So anyway, I could stop right here, and this isn't bad, but this is an advanced tutorial, so we're going to take it one step further. What I want to do is I want to have this lifesaver graphic nested in between the waves so that the lighter waves are behind the lifesaver and the darker colored waves are in front of the lifesaver. So we're going to go back to our Magic Wand tool, make sure that we are in the tiled wave pattern layer, grab our Magic Wand. We're going to grab this lighter color wave at the top with our Magic Wand, Command X, which is going to cut, and then Command V, which is going to paste. And so now, if I close this layer, you can see, and I'm going to do Command D to deselect, that now I've got two different layers. One is the green. Okay, so that's the green layer, and one is the darker blue. But what's this here? This little outline was left behind because it was ever so slightly lighter than my other wave. Not a problem. Okay, you can't really even see it until now we're going to, again, we want our lifesaver to be behind the tiled wave pattern, and we want the light green waves to be behind the lifesaver or underneath, as the case may be. So all I have to do to get rid of, you really only see it in things that are in front of it. So I'm going to go into the tiled wave pattern because I'm pretty sure that's where that is. Press my eraser tool, zoom in, to move, we're gonna click the space bar to pull up our little hand tool so I can see what I'm doing. Can drag my screen into place and then erase. So that one may not have been clear. You may have thought it was in this layer with the light green wave. So I'm going to just title this light wave. But if you were and you tried to erase, you wouldn't be able to get to it. So then you would know immediately, oh, it must be the other layer. Okay, so you can just go through and just erase. And then I may want to just get this one little bit that's on the rope here. Okay, and then I wanted to show you, this is a little bit nitpicky, but I've got some little leftover spots here at the tip of these waves that I don't love, and I want to erase that too. And that is also in the tiled wave pattern layer. So I'm just going to get my eraser tool and pull that out. Press the space bar to move. It's a little bit nitpicky, but it'll bug me. So I'm going to fix it. Okay, Command 0 to just pull my screen back up. So now, this is really cute. You've got your little girl in a lifesaver and she's floating inside the waves. Okay, so that's the end of this tutorial on how to work with graphics. Oh, one last thing I want to show you. Let's say you wanted this girl in the lifesaver to be, for some reason, let's say you wanted her to be on the other side of the page. Let's just pretend I erased that. And you wanted her to be facing this direction instead of facing this direction. You go back up to Edit, Transform, and then you're going to flip her vertically, I think. Nope, Control Z. That was, I'm going to flip her horizontally. And now she's facing the other way. And so I actually think that looks a little wonky, but sometimes it's really easy and you can just flip. So I just wanted to show you that. I also don't remember if I showed you or not, but if you want to undo several steps, you can't just keep hitting Command Z, Command Z, Command Z, because it will just flip you back and forth. I'm just going to show you Command Z. It's just going to flip you back and forth between the last two moves. So if you want to jump back several steps, you have to hold the Option command and then press Command Z, Command Z, Command Z, and then you can go back. Anyway, that's important to know. Last thing, to rotate, we're in the lifesaver. We're going to press Option Command T, and we already know that you can scale by dragging in and out, but to rotate, you're going to go to one of these corners, doesn't matter which, and then when you're right on the corner, that's going to give you your scale arrow. But if you just drag slightly outside, then you're going to get a rotate arrow where you can just click and drag to rotate. So let's say you wanted her to be ever so slightly rotated. That's how you rotate graphics or images or anything or text. You would use your free transform tool and you can rotate. I don't actually want this rotated, so I'm going to press Command Z, and that's the end of this tutorial. Next, we're going to be talking about how to use text and fonts in your design.